Hey, it's James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and today I'm going to show you how to play O Little Town of Bethlehem. It goes like this.
The silent stars go by, yet in thy dark streets shine the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight, for Christ is born of
So as you can see, it's a little bit more than the basic chord shapes and some strumming. As far as like which version of this is one of those songs that's like a, super ancient, but I went from Elvis Presley's version of it because I think that's the most beautiful. It has like, the super cool kind of jazzy chord changes that I'm going to show you today. If along the way you find that you need any extra help, I have a complete beginner's course. I'll put a link to that in the corner. We'll talk more about that later. Otherwise, we're going to jump right in and work on that chord progression. It starts with D. And from there, we're going to go to, this is sort of a D diminished, but not really. We just take the D shape and we move it down 1 fret. And then I'm going to put my pinky on the 2nd fret and play that with an upstroke. And this is really helpful when you go to sing it because the melody follows that top note. Oh, little town of... And then we can slide our pinky to the 3rd fret and play our G chord, which is the next chord. Bethlehem. And then from there, I pivot off my ring finger. D, A7. And for A, you can play a regular A chord, but I like A7 here. I have my index on the 2nd fret of D and then my middle on the 2nd fret of G. And that way, when I go for my D chord, I just move those 2 fingers up like that. That smooths it out a little bit. We come back to D. And then D, B7, E minor. And for D to B7, there's really no trick there. You just got to make this shape. I like to start with my middle finger on the 2nd fret, skip a string, 2nd fret, skip a string, 2nd fret, and then I put my index down. And I recommend just making those motions over and over, like going D and then going D, 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 D. And eventually, you can just make the shape, quicker after a lot of muscle memory building. And from B7, we leave our middle finger down. We play E minor. That's a really simple switch. And then that same D, A7, D thing happens. And now for the bridge, we go D, E minor, and then we have this shape here, this F sharp 7. You could play an F sharp bar chord. That sounds a lot bigger, a lot more powerful, but it does require you to, play bar chords. I have a course, Bar Chords Made Easy. If you are interested in pursuing that, I'll put a link to that too. What this voicing right here, I really like it. This is like a jazz voicing, All we're doing is index on the 2nd fret of the thickest string. Skip a string, 2nd fret, skip a string, 2nd fret. Kind of like our B7 chord, but with different fingers and in a different spot on the fretboard. Then I'm going to add my pinky to the 3rd fret of the B string. So I kind of make like this D shape with those 3 fingers, and then my index on the 2nd fret of the thickest string. F sharp 7. And then we move this shape down, and we get B minor. This is technically a B minor 7. And from this one, we go to G. And when I make that transition, I put these 2 fingers down first. Kind of helps guide me when I'm not looking down at the fretboard. And from here, we go back into that F sharp chord. For the rest of the tune, it's just the same thing that we started off with. So we've already gone over that. Once you're ready, we can take a look at the strumming pattern, which is super simple. just down, down, up. That's only 2 beats. And, you know, looking at our chord progression, we start off with 2 beats of D. So we play down, down, up on D. Then we play, for this one, let's not bother with any strumming pattern. We're just going to play a downstroke on the diminished chord, and then I'm going to play that 2nd fret on beat 4. So for the very beginning of it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we can, you know, proceed with strumming. We have our strumming pattern, we have our chord progression. I'm gonna put the 2 together. You can always just watch, see how this goes, rewind it, try it with me after, or if you're adventurous, you could just jump right in. Starting off on D, I'm gonna get my metronome. 76 beats per minute. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we just do that 3 times, and that's the entire song. Now, as far as the intro and the outro, I like the Elvis intro where we play a G on beat 4, just like a downstroke. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we do our strumming pattern on D, on A7, and then on D for 4 beats. Kind of just like the end of the verse, you know. So all in all, it goes 1, 2, 3. Oh, little town of Bethlehem. And for the ending, I just slow down. It's called a retardando or a retard. That's the official word for it. But basically, at the very end of the tune, when you go, are met in thee tonight. You know, so I just played the D and the A slower, and I got even slower, and that's something you just feel out. There's no exact timing or rhythm. When you're doing it by yourself, it's a lot easier. If you're playing with other people, you gotta like look at each other and be like, in thee, and you know, like an orchestra, they all have to follow each other. But when you're just playing on your own, just feel it out and it'll work. Finish with a downstroke, tonight, on the D chord. If you want to play along with me through this entire tune, I have that on my Patreon page along with a chord chart for this song. So I have the whole thing up there. I'll put a link for that down below. And if you'd like some extra help building up your skills on guitar, please take a look at my complete beginners course. I'll put a link to that in the corner as well as down below, and that'll take you from absolute beginner to confident strummer, you know, getting your rhythm together, all your dexterity for your chord shapes, teaching you a little touch of lead guitar, the blues, you know, all the stuff that people want to know. It's all in there in a step-by-step way. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy learning guitar with me. That really helps the channel out. Otherwise, Merry Christmas, have a fun time practicing, and I'll see you soon.